Hey, what's up? It's Joe back with a new video, and today I'm going to talk about Git and how I use my Git config to save me a bunch of time when I'm doing stuff for development. I use it at home and I use it at work, and it really does help me out a lot. So I'm going to go through my Git config line by line. Shouldn't be a long video at all, and just show you how it works. The code will be on GitHub, so you're welcome to use it, try it out, change it, show it, share it, whatever you want to do. Have fun with it. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so my favorite command is DL, which is for me is git log. So for instance, I already have a repository set up, which is called Playground. If I do GL, I have my head 0, I have my first commit 2 hours ago, author, I have my hash, and just some simple information. All right, so before I even go into more of the log and how everything works, let me just go ahead and add some files with some text. So let's just say echo file A, and let's do one for B. And now cat A is file A, cat B is file B. All right, so now if I do my git status, I'll write it out the long way. For now, just so you can see it, we have two untracked files, files A and file B. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add these files. So to say git add dot for all git commit message added A and B. Again, I'm doing it the long way right now until I get to my short command so you can see what it does. So now if I do my GL again, which is my log, I have my head, my 0, and my head and my 1. I'm sorry, head 0 and head 1, and then added A and B and the hash 6 seconds ago, and again the first commit, which is 2 hours ago. So let's say if I want to get some more information or some different kind of information, I have a log F. So log F is just going to show you the log, and all of these means case insensitive. So I do log F to show you like the names of the files. So I call it log F for like log file. So if I do glf, I see my commit message, my author, my date, my commit hash, and then my commit message here. And then these are the two files that were added. In my first commit, I have my readme that was added. And then I have a log O, which is for one line. So GLO, log O. My full hash and my commit message. And then if I want to do LS, that's for stats. You can get like, how many things was inserted, deletions, etc., etc. So if I do GLS, I see I have pretty close to what I had for the GLF, which is the name status, but now I have like this plus, and it kind of shows you like 2 files changed, 2 insertions, 1 file change, 1 insertion. All right, and then GLSL is log short log. And if I do that, now it shows like grouping. So if I had like 20 different developers working on this project, this repo, and say developer A had 5 commits, developer B had 20 commits, developer C had 8 commits, it'll show these group like developer A, developer B, developer C, and how many commits they had, which is this number, and then the actual commit messages for each one. All right, so there's just some different things for log, but you're probably still saying, okay, so what's the whole reason for the -i? So say for instance, I am using this glf, so I'm getting the log files, and I want to look for the author, and I'm looking for Joe D. Benjamin, right? So if I say author equals Joe D. Benjamin, it comes up because it's finding me author about an email. But I can also say, for instance, I had it all uppercase, it will still find it. Now the default way for this is the log is not going to search for case insensitive. So if I were to actually write it out and say git log and just say name status and then pass the author equals you see, it didn't find anything. But if I do the same thing and then pass the I flag, it finds it. So I just always try to use case sensitivity because it makes it easier for me to search, because I'm not trying to remember what's capital, what's lowercase, and all that extra stuff. It's just too much stuff to think about, and it just takes too long. All right, so now let's discuss the add. And the way this works is let's just add some more files. So let's just say touch C and D. I'm not going to even put anything in the actual file, but just touch C and D. So if I do the GA, it's going to look for a file name. If I do GA with nothing, it's going to add nothing because it doesn't know what file I'm looking for. So let's just say git add C. Now if I do git status, I've added C and D is still been untracked. And let's just add one more, just say E. Create a new file called E. Now if I say git status, C has been added, D and E are untracked. I can do git AA, which for me is like add all. So add all of my files, I don't care, so which is the add dot. So I just say git AA. Now if I do my git status, C, D, and E have been added. So I didn't have to like go in and specify each file I want to add, but if I did want to specify like an actual file, I can just use git AR for shorter GA. All right. And then AAM is going to add everything and also allow you to create a commit message. So you're probably like, well, why would you do that? Because you can do the same thing with this, right? And then put your message. But when you do this, if you've seen this before, this basically says, okay, I'm going to go ahead and commit, but I'm going to add, and then this is going to be my message. But when you do it this way, this A does not account for untracked files. So again, if I did something like F and H or whatever, and then I say git status S, this F and H right here are untracked. So if I wanted to say git AAM or git GAAM, which it says add all in message, it's going to say git add dot for git add all and then do a commit message. But if I did something like this, which is the way a lot of people use it, random message, right? And if I do my git log, I see I have a random message. And if I were to do my git log files, I see C, D, and E were added, but the F and H were not added. And the reason being is because, again, when you do this, it doesn't account for untracked files. So the way to get around that, and I find it easier for me, is say AAM, so it can do everything for me. So just say git RG AAM, and then put my message adding F and H. I added F and H. So now if I do my git log files, I see F and H here were added just by doing the GAAM for add all in message. Now let's talk about some commits here. All right, so we all know the regular C, which is like git commit. So let's say if I added mn, so I just added two more files. So I do my git status, I have m and n, which are being untracked at the moment. So if I do git C, that's just going to go ahead and commit, although I haven't added anything, so I don't have anything to commit because I haven't added it to bin track. And then the CA is just commit amend. So let's do this. Let's first look at this log here, right? And I have my added, well, let's do it the way I like. So GL, I have my added F and H. Say I wanted to change this to something else, like change this message. I can say GCA, which is this commit amend, and then maybe put my message as, well, I'm sorry, CA is going to open up this to amend the message, added F and H update. Save it, quit, and then I'll do my GL, added FH update. So I just have a quick shortcut to get to that commit amend GCA without having to write out this whole thing. But look at this one, AA can. It says git add all, so git add all, and then commit amend no edit. So I use this a lot. Like say for instance, I'm working on something, right? And I have my MN and I'm doing all this stuff and I actually want to say all of this is M and N, even though I'm making more changes, adding more files, I just want it to just be a part of this commit, even though it really doesn't make any sense because it's added FH update. This is not really FH, but I just want to show you how fast this command can be used if you're making a bunch of changes or making some small changes to something that still relates to what you did in your initial commit. So I can just say git AA for add all, can commit amend no message. So now if I do my git log, I have still my added FH update. And if I do my git status, there is no status there because this M and N have been pretty much merged or squashed with this update. And to prove that, if I do glf, see now my F and H have been added along with my M and N in this added FH update. So you see, you can start doing a lot of cool stuff very quickly just by having different commands in your git config. So now let's look at the diff stuff. All right. So normally when you see a diff, let's say for instance I am going to make a change to file H. So let's say echo changing file H. And then now, if I do my git status S, I modified H. And if I do my GD, which is diff, and then -W, I think that's for white space, like don't care about white space. If I do my GD, and I have the changing file H. The colors are a little bit different because my colors are just different all around. It doesn't really match what you say here because I have something else that's pretty much changing how my colors are happening. My colors react off of my background. That's why you see like different colors here that may not relate to the colors you see on your screen. So if I do DD, I say diff default. And in the side of the git config, you can actually create functions which actually takes values. So I have my $1, my $2. So I can say git diff, and I want to do a diff. So let's do a git log, and say I want to do a diff between 0 and 1. So say git diff default, and then 0 and 1. Delete it, delete it, delete it, delete it, delete it. Pretty much saying you deleted these files, right? But the weird part is it's not really right because I actually added files. So if I want to say what happened from head 1 to head 0, which is why this log comes in handy because now I can easily see my head positions. So I say what happened from log 1 to log 0. And this is the diff default that I'm using, just that. But if I do git diff f, which is going to give me the actual file name 1 to 0, I can say from head 1 to head 0, I added these files. And again, if you do GL, that's my log. What happened from 2 to 1? I say git df for git diff file from 2 to 1. I added C, D, and E. And the reason again that I can do that is because I'm actually passing in these, the $1, $2, $1, $2. So you can create functions to do even more stuff, not even just that. And basically the syntax is you do the F, or this can be whatever you want to call it. So you're creating a function here, and then at the end you just call the function, and it's just going to use these values that you pass it. All right, so now let's talk about some rebasing, because I rebase a lot, but keep in mind rebasing can mess up things. So the way rebasing works is just alters your history inside of Git. So I guess one thing you should always remember is if you're going to do this, do not rebase stuff that has already been pushed to the remote that other people may have made changes to, because then you're going to just start screwing up the history. But there is a way around that, which I will show you to make sure you're not doing that. So for instance, say I have, right now if I do my git log, I have my added FH update, run the message, added A and B, first commit. So a lot of people, when they do a git rebase, they'll put in origin or whatever they want to rebase off for main, not origin, but like main, dev, however they want to rebase those branches. But for me, I like using Rebase Interactive, which I've been using for a few years. I did do a video on git rebase, like writing it out this way, but since then I've converted to just doing Rebase Interactive, and I just find it to be a lot more easier to understand, and I can do things a lot quicker. So this is the syntax for git rebase -I. And then head, again, I'm passing in a value right here, which is $1. So again, I do my GL for my git log. Say I wanted to rearrange these. So I'll just say 1, 2, and 3. And a good way to look at that is say, look at all of the ones you want to change. And okay, so if I look here at head 3, If I say 3, it's gonna allow me to make changes for 0, 1, 2. If I say 2, it'll allow me to make changes for 0, 1. So that is the way I do it. So git rebase interactive. Let's say I say 2. It's gonna give me 0 and 1. Oh, I have changes I haven't committed. So let's just say git commit. Just add that to my, I just amended that commit to the other commit. So I can just go ahead and make these changes. So now if I do my git status S, I don't have anything that's bothering me. So if I say git rebase interactive, let's look at the log again. So I'm going to say 2, it's going to let me modify 0, 1. Git rebase interactive 2. So it opens up a new editor. So now I can do things like, okay, well, I want to change these around. Let's say I want to have added F&H update and random message flip. I want to flip the order. So I save, quit. Now if I do my GL, you see these got flipped. The random message now is here and the added FH update is here. So I flipped them. Let's say for instance, I wanted to do, put a 3 here. Okay, my computer is acting up. Okay. So git rebase interactive 3. So now let's say if I wanted to squash these, right? I can say squash. And here I can just say reword, pretty much changing the way this looks. So again, I'm squashing these two. So this is going to be squashed with this one. And then I'm going to reword this message. So once you do that, you just save it and then quit. It's going to start doing some stuff, take you back here. So this is the one that I'm going to squash. So see, it says this is a combination of 2 commits. I can do something like that. And it's going to take me back. This is the one that I want to reword. Random message reworded. So now if I do my git log, I random message reworded. So that's the one that I actually reworded. And then these are the ones that I squash. So if I do my git log again, do my git glf, I can see that here, random message reworded, which is a CDE, and then added A and B and added F&H update. And remember this MN was one of the other commit amends that I did it that has the MN. So you can start like really making a bunch of changes to your stuff. So once I do that, and let me just show you one more with the rebase interactive, I can do git rebase interactive, let's just say 2, which is going to give me 0 and 1. So let's say I wanted to also squash this, but I don't want to give it a new message. So I can just say fix up. So this is like squash, but it's not going to open back up again. It's just going to not even ask me for a new message. So if I save it, quit, and then if I do my git log, see it pretty much squashed those changes, but I didn't have to make a new message, and it just kept the message for me that I went into. So if because before I had this random message reworded, so this random message reword got squashed with here, but the commit message got lost because I said fix up, and now they're all in here. So if I say git log F, now added A and B and added F and H update pretty much has everything that was happening because I've been squashing stuff, I fixed up all that stuff, and now it's all together. All right, so when you do stuff like this, when you start pushing changes to your remote, so now let's say, right now I'm pushing, it's gonna allow me to push because no changes or anything were already done on that repo, so it allowed me to push and everything is fine. Now let's say for instance I did something very similar, YZ, and I say git commit add M, or I can do git add all, and with the message, and just say added Y and Z. So So now if I look at my log, I have added Y and Z. Now let's say I did this and I want to flip these two, right? So I'm going to do the same git rebase interactive and say 2. And let's just change the order there. Quit. And if I do my log again, which is nothing different than we've already seen, I've switched it. But now if I try to do a git push, something's going to happen. It's been rejected. So it's been rejected because Git is saying, hey, you've changed your history. You've changed some stuff around that doesn't match the actual remote repository. You made changes and Git don't want to allow you to do that. So you can do something like this and just say git and just say push force. But when you do that, Git is saying, okay, well, you know what you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and allow you to make those changes. But that's also not good. What you really want to do is use git push force with least, which I call enforce. So the way that works is if I say enforce, it's going to go ahead and take those changes, as you can see here, and push them up to the remote repository. But what it did was it looked to see if anybody else had made changes on that repo since I actually got my initial changes and since I decided to do that reorganization of the history. And if somebody else was working on that repo and made changes, it still would have rejected me. But since nobody else on there made changes, it allowed me to go ahead and push those changes with the enforce, which is now going to show the new history. So again, if you ever want to do a git push force because you've changed history, don't use git force. Never use git force. Always use git push force with least. And again, if somebody else has made changes to that repo, what it will do is reject it. But if nobody else has made changes, it will allow you to change that history. All right. And this, I'm not going to talk about, just showing aliases. The git branch just shows you different branches. Kind of like 2 minutes ago, kind of shows you different things. Git delete, it's just going to delete a branch. Checkout branch, stuff you've probably already seen. This one I use a lot is the current. So what it does is it says, it just gets me whatever is the current branch that I'm in. So sometimes I use something like this. I'm here and I'm like, oh, I don't want to write out this whole, whatever that long branch name is. I can say something like this. And then just reset hard origin up to like whatever the current branch is. So if I do my git log, even though everything was already the same, it just reset it hard to the origin, pretty much lost all my changes and got me back to what it was with the last commit that I had and pushed to the repository. And then undo is something that I use a lot too. So say for instance, I'm here and I say touch random file. And now if I do my git status, and I have some random file, right? And I want to say git add all message, added random file, and now I say git status s, and then I say my git log, added random file. Let's just say git undo. Now if I see my git log, the added random file is gone. It's pretty much just kind of like, oh, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to make that commit. Take me back. And if I do my git status, it has the random file which was added, but I haven't actually, if I added the random file, so I'm tracking it, but I haven't actually made the commit. So it just literally undid the commit. And the reason why you send GS, because that is the git status, and that's my status S. And this is stuff just for like some colors. This is just for pool. When I pull, I like to do a rebase. So I like to have my pool come in, and then my changes sit on top of whatever new changes may have went into the repo before I pulled, like after I pulled it down. So if like I'm working on a branch and somebody's working on that branch and they put some of the stuff on it and I want to pull in those changes, I still want my changes to sit on top, which is why I have rebase set to true. Default upstream allows you to just do things like git push without having to say origin, main, stuff like that, because it knows that you're pointing to the same branch name that you're in for your local branch. And then the status just pretty much showing like my untracked files, and then editor, which is Vim, which is my default for Vim. And so that's pretty much the end of it. Just a little short video showing you how git config, or my git config, helps me out a lot. And yeah, I'll put it on GitHub, try it out, have fun with it. Peace out. Hope you enjoyed.